I hate machines.
I want them to die, but also I love them, and they are the future, and I will protect them at all
I love
costs.
machines, but also I want all machines to perish.
I, for one, accept our machine overlords.
Welcome
Um,
our new robot. You
okay.
mean fucking Black Mirror?
No. I mean,
I for one admit
The Simpsons episode with the giant ants that aren't really giant.
I
Uh,
for one accept our new robot overlords. All right, you ready to sync Audacity?
yes, I am. One,
3.
two, three, go.
Oh.
Jeez, there we go.
All right, and I don't sound too
Episode.
loud.
No, you sound great,
Good.
like an angel.
All right. We'll do it live.
Yeah. So technical difficulties made us late, just like my stream on Friday.
But thankfully, it is not that much later. It's only 10 minutes later. So
Yeah.
there we go.
You know what? We
10 minutes
win.
later is not bad. Yeah, we win. Technology loses. Yes.
Get out of my face.
Okay, so. Oh
Boy.
God, what shit weather have we had to deal with this week?
Oh yeah, that was this week.
Yeah, well, I know
I tried to-
it wasn't a million years ago.
I tried to blog it out.
Oh Jesus Christ! It's been one hell of a week for bad weather where we are. That's for sure.
Yeah, Montreal had a snowstorm and then it flooded. And
Yeah,
then it had
yeah,
another
and then freezing
snowstorm.
rain came. Oh, the freezing rain came.
Freezing
I
rain
hate it.
came.
You have to fucking bike around on ice, and I
Daddy,
have to
give me
fucking
your sky juice.
climb up a goddamn hill with
Oh
fucking
yeah.
ice spikes on my boots just to
Well,
survive this shit.
I actually got lucky on Thursday because my bike broke down, and then I took it to the
Oh.
bike shop, and they were like, "Well, we'll get it to you by the end of the day," and I was like, "Cool, I'm going home."
God.
To just keep clicking the play button on Resident Evil all day.
Fuck.
Just please. If I click it
See-
enough, it'll work.
Oh God. Oh boy. Yeah, it's been one hell of a fuck of a week for all this bullshit.
Indeed.
But
Much
hey,
snow, much rain.
new week has begun.
New week has begun. New podcast episode. We made it. We survived
Yeah,
the weather apocalypse.
We're not dead yet.
Not
They
yet.
tried, but we ain't dead yet. So you got you got some game to discuss.
Boy, oh boy, do I ever.
Let us hear what thou hast to say about Resi 2.
Yeah, because that's pretty. I didn't do anything else this week really because of the weather.
Yeah.
I went home and drank and played Bravely Default pretty much every night, awaiting Friday night's release of the Resi 2 remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it came out and I streamed 6 hours straight
Yeah, I saw that.
from 8:30 till 3 a.m. And
I watched,
the only
I watched
reason
about 3 hours of it on YouTube.
yeah, the only reason I really stopped was because I started getting cold because my body was shutting down and I was like, all right, you win.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, because I had worked the full day outside in the
Oh,
snow and cold and just came home.
Jesus
I was like,
Jesus
fuck it, let's go.
Christ.
I played 3 hours the next day after 4 hours of sleep, and then I
Oh,
played
boy.
about an hour and a half today. I'm almost done. Well, I believe I'm almost done Claire's thing. If they didn't add too much stuff.
More to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
That's not so bad. I've only ever played, funnily enough, the Nintendo 64 port of it.
the port of the 2?
Of 2. There's a Nintendo 64 version of 2, and I've played that.
Yeah, that's
It's
best way to play it.
Really?
It might be the PS1 version. No, I think the 64 version is the best way to play it because it is all on the one cartridge. You've got Claire A, Leon B, and Leon A, Claire B, all on that one cartridge. Whereas
That's
with the
true.
PS1 thing, you had 2 discs that were separate.
Characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was considered one of the best ways to play it, so that's cool. That's the only way I've ever
consider
played
it
it.
one of the best ways to play it is on the 64. But I think I don't know if that's unanimous or if that's just my nostalgia goggles because that's the only way I've ever played it. And
Yeah, okay.
playing it on a PS2 controller feels weird to me, even though the D-pad is meant for the tank controls that game has.
Yeah.
But
That makes sense.
the new version of it is fucking amazing. A lot of stuff is different, but a lot of stuff is also very much the same. Whereas,
Okay.
like, some of the room fidelity is so on point that you just know where to go. Like the layout fidelity of the areas sometimes.
Really?
Even though the camera angle is now third person and it's no longer like a fixed camera angle, you
Wow.
like have the nostalgia of actually playing it and like remembering where to go. And it's like I talked with another friend too who got it same day, and he had the same feelings. He was like because me and him have both played this game numerous amounts of time. We pretty much know the 64 version, or like the PS1, whatever, the old version, pretty much inside and out. And they did a amazing job with the map layouts and just making everything great. We both also got the deluxe edition which comes with the original music and sound effect pack.
Whoa.
So you can
Okay,
swap
cool.
that out, and that is one of the weirdest like nostalgic feelings for a new thing.
Yeah,
Because
to
it's
listen
just-
to and hear all those old sounds
Yeah.
which are burned into your brain.
You go into these high fidelity rooms that are now like ultra detailed, hyper realistic third person camera view, and you have this old like 90s fucking video game soundtrack that comes in, and you're like, oh my god, yes, it's the best.
That's
And,
really cool.
Apparently, data miners have found a thing that probably unlocks after you beat the game a couple of times.
Okay.
Called classic camera mode. So I think that's just going to be fixed angles. But I don't know if that has been debunked yet. I don't know if that was a fake thing or if that is real.
Okay.
And I haven't.
Well,
looked...
if that's real, that's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up either because I almost don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather like beat the game and have classic camera mode pop up and me be like, yeah.
So you started with Claire's story?
Yeah, Claire A. I'm gonna do Leon B, and then I gotta do Leon A, Claire B. But
All right.
the canon layout of the story is Claire A, Leon B.
Mm-hmm.
So far, amazing. A lot of moments are very much the same. They added some new stuff too, which is really fun. There's a section in which you play as Sherry, which I don't believe was in the original game.
But where is the section?
It's in an orphanage, which I don't think was in the original game.
Sorry if you're hearing some noise.
Oh, it's
That's
okay.
I'm just adjusting my mic so that it's in a bit of a more comfortable position.
That's all right.
But yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The story is pretty much the same, you know. I mean, it's a remake.
Yeah.
It's not a new game or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The lickers are horrifying. The zombies are actually way more threatening because in the original one, you could just kind of learn how to dodge past them and like easily run away without having to shoot them at all. But in this one,
But now they run.
they don't run as much, but they do lunge at you, and there's a certain distance away you can be from them, and there's a certain angle if you're running past them that they will either grab you, or if you're at like a, I think it's like, it's in between a certain angle of like how they're facing you and how far you are away from them from where you're running. But if they grab you, you just kind of like football tackle them off of you.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's really rad. The textures on the zombies, which I talked about after playing the demo, but like the layers that they have on all the zombie models of the like the skin, the muscle, and then the bone, is so satisfying to shoot them. And
I
one
saw
of the
some
things,
gameplay footage of that, and it looked just ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, no, like it's ridiculously beautiful. I think it's one of the best looking games I've seen in a long time, without
that's cool.
a doubt. And yeah, no, one of the things I'm really excited for is like after you beat it, you unlock unlimited ammo weapons.
Whoa, okay.
Because like The way this game is kind of is like a Sonic game where
Yeah.
you get ranked at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and but you're not you like there's it's almost impossible. It is literally impossible for you to get S rank on your first
Yeah.
try. You know,
There's no way
no,
you couldn't.
it's
possibly.
impossible because you don't know
You
what's
have to-
coming.
yeah.
You have to memorize like when to do what, where, and how to do it.
You have to learn everything inside out.
Yeah, to get like that super good rank.
Well, that's really, really fucking cool.
Yeah, that adds a bunch of fucking replay value. The deluxe edition also came with a bunch of costumes, one of which is Elsa Walker, which is from Resident Evil 1.5, which is
I know that one.
Yeah. It's like
that's really, really cool. It's like
what
what
Resident
would have
Evil
been Claire's
2, yeah, it's what
original costume.
Yeah. It's what Resident Evil 2 was supposed to be before they brought on a director/fan to kind of clean it up, and he was like, no. Elsa Walker needs to go away.
She was a motorcycle racer, I think?
Yeah, she was a motorcycle racer, so the costume is just straight up like...
a motorcycle suit.
A motorcycle speed suit. It's great.
That's fucking awesome.
But yeah, right now I'm just playing with all the, like... the remakes, costumes, and the soundtrack, because I don't, like... They worked really hard on it, and I want to see it in its original integrity. But after I beat it once, for both of them, I'm just gonna switch to the costumes to have a goofy time with it.
Damn, that just sounds fucking awesome.
It really is. It's so good. I can't wait to play it. I was dying after my stream and just laying in bed like. My body's shutting down essentially, but couldn't sleep because I was like, I can't wait to pick it back up. I just want to play it. That's
fun.
Yeah, it's great.
That's really, really, really good. I wish I had a console to play it on.
Yeah, that's.
This the one thing the Switch can't do.
Yeah.
Play Resi games. Can't do it anymore at least.
Unfortunately.
I only own 2 Resident Evil games. I own 4, and I own the remake of 1 for the GameCube.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, those are 2 of the best ones anyway. So it's not really.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not really like saying.
It's not like you only had Outbreak.
Exactly, but like my experience playing the series is limited pretty much to 0, 1, and 4. I've never played Nemesis, and I've played through this N64 version of 2.
Yeah.
But that was on the Big E, which I cannot say what that is. But I did not play it legally, so I don't really count that as much.
Arrest this man.
I had a bit more of it advantages to me because I was using like my gamepad that I use for when I play on the computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like a
big cheat.
It wasn't exactly. Yeah, it's not the experience of playing with that shitty N64 controller.
Yeah.
But yeah, my experience playing those games is pretty limited. But I've beaten all the ones that I've played, not without much trial and error, of course, and I've enjoyed pretty much all of them. Last year, me and my friend Alex played through the entirety of Remake. We did Jill's story.
Okay, yeah.
And that was fun, and we had a really good time doing that. I have an old CRTV that I play my GameCube on, so we had that set up in my room, and we'd sit down on the ground, grab a beer, and we'd play through 5 hours or something of the game.
Yeah, well, that's what
really did it over maybe 3 or 4 sessions. It was great.
Yeah, that's what me and my friend have been doing too to get kind of in the mood for Resident Evil. I just go over to his house every Saturday. For the past month, I think. And since I'm going back to get my wallet, I was like, fuck it, let's sink another hour in. I guess.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, no.
That's the advantages to losing your wallet.
Yeah. More Resident Evil 2. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, no, game's great. I'm enjoying it very much so far. Probably more on that next week.
Yeah.
But also, fucking Kingdom Hearts 3 comes in on Tuesday.
Which is gonna be nuts.
One day shipping holds its word. And
that's gonna be fucking crazy.
Now I'm just gonna be juggling these 2 very different games. And
on an unrelated note, next Monday, do you mind if I come over on Monday for fucking 8 billion years?
no, go for it. Not here on Monday, but it's Tuesday. Come on, Tuesday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Kingdom Hearts 3's day.
But no, that's really really fucking cool. I can't wait to see how that thing plays.
I'm like, my Twitter will just be nothing but me going, holy fuck, oh my god. Which pretty much what happened when I was playing Resident Evil 2. I think like my last like 2 tweets were like, holy fuck.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That and like strategizing with Pat, because he's been like, all right, so like the lickers take this many from this gun, this many from this gun. Which windows are the best to board up in the police station? Like, because this is like the kind of game that you get into a speed runny kind of.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yes, I absolutely get you on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to beat Claire A, Leon B, and then do Leon A, Claire B, and then do Hunk. And they also have the Ghost Survivors announced, which I think is going to be DLC campaigns for people from like, there's a what's it called? It's called the Kendo Gun Shop. I don't remember the owner's name, but apparently people data mined that you might be playing as him, which would be really fucking rad.
That would be rad.
Other than that, there's so much in the game. There's so much.
Yeah.
It's so good. I could talk on for hours.
It is one of those kinds of games. It really is. You just ridiculous amounts of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, and the replayability is gonna be insane. Whereas like,
oh yeah,
on the opposite end, Kingdom Hearts is gonna be like, you play through on Proud Mode once and see the secret story, and you're like, all right.
Or you'll be like me and you go on YouTube and watching somebody posts what the secret story is at the end.
Never.
I wish I had if I had the console, I would.
I think the only time that happened was the first one, because I didn't know there was secret stories for playing on Proud Mode, because I was like a young child and didn't look up things about video games. I just played them. Yeah,
so you just kind of saw
so like I played through on Normal and like didn't get the secret story, then saw it on YouTube, and like ever since then, every Kingdom Hearts game I've been like, nope, Proud Mode. I don't even care if there's one or not.
You're just like, fuck it.
Dream Drop Distance, let's go.
Dream Drop Distance was I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but
yeah, I think it was last week actually.
I have mixed feelings about that game.
I thought it was a video game.
It's totally playable.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think the narrative is pretty good for Kingdom Hearts. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's not one of the more complicated. It's not fucking 358 over fucking whatever days, 2 days.
No, exactly. Like,
I don't even know the title of that.
It's 358 days over 2.
Okay, 3582. 3582. All right, so I was right.
358 days over 2.
Yeah.
That's not what that title is, but that's what it is.
Naming
conventions. I hate it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I hate that so much.
It would make sense if you played it. I saw a really good, I think it was the Hard Times article that was like, will I understand the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 if I haven't played the first 12? And I was like, all right, fair enough. I wore my Kingdom Hearts shirt to EB Games and hung out there for hours.
That's me, but with my Kingdom Hearts hat.
Yeah.
Which I proudly wear everywhere I go. God, I must look like such a jackass.
That's the thing, like, I'm always super hype, and then I talk to people who don't know Kingdom Hearts or who don't...
Or, like, don't give a shit at all.
And they're like, what?
Or worse, think it's stupid.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you talking about? This stupid Mickey Mouse game? And I'm like, no, it's so good.
You didn't get the hook early enough.
Yeah, it didn't get you when you were like an edgy teenager.
Yeah.
I think like liking and enjoying Kingdom Hearts, you have to be a particular age. And I don't want to say even at a particular time, but honestly, like, there's a reason that most of the people who are nostalgic for the game are people who played it when, you know,
it like came out.
yeah, like
you
because
can't-
they were probably what I think I was maybe 10 when Kingdom Hearts 2 came
Yeah,
out.
I think like
Something like
10
that.
to like
10 to 14
like 10 to 20, because I know some older people who
who loved it when it came
Yeah.
out, and they were like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. They're like,
It
definitely,
depends.
it is like a thing for the millennials.
But also it depends too, because there's probably some like super hardcore Disney fans that
Oh, I
like,
know a lot. Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of Disney fans who are into it.
yeah. So like it's those Disney people
They're like, what?
also.
They're always like, what the fuck is this Final Fantasy shit?
Yeah. Who put
Where's
this
my Disney?
Who put this anime in my fucking Tangled?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm like not worried about, but like, this is gonna be interesting, is experiencing Disney movies that I haven't even seen.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
well,
I'm debating.
Tangled is really good, actually.
Yeah, like I'm debating if I should watch the movies just for the video game.
You know, honestly, worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it because, I mean, not only is Tangled like a good movie that you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of because it's well done,
Yeah.
but I can't say the same about Frozen. I'm not too big a fan of that.
Well, that's what I was about to say. That means I have to watch Frozen though. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a daughter in like any time now, so.
So exactly, yeah, maybe you should
Maybe it's a
subject
good
yourself to
time.
Frozen Elsa. Apparently, the big one that everybody is really like, all the little kids are big onto now is Moana. They love Moana.
Yeah.
Like
Out
I
of,
know a lot of
like,
kids who
nowhere.
like or young parents who are like, yeah, my daughter literally, like, we had to go and buy the Moana on Blu-ray because they've taken it off of Netflix, and my daughter is gonna fucking lose her mind if she goes on Netflix and can't find Moana.
Oh my god. That's great.
So I've seen people doing shit like that.
The power
But it's-
dynamic of children and their parents is
Oh yeah,
super funny.
and never underestimate like the power, influence, and like cultural monopoly of Disney, and how
Yeah.
it's literally going to take over pop culture for you for like
Yeah.
a good decade. It's nuts, but it happens. Like, I mean, like, even my cousin who had, I guess she had her son maybe about 7 or 8 years ago,
Mhm.
and the thing that was really big at the time on TV was like this Winnie the Pooh show called My Friends Tigger and Pooh,
Oh yeah.
and the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse TV
Yeah.
show. Yeah, and those are like, I don't know so much about the Winnie the Pooh one for my cousin, because I think my cousin, who is his mother, tried to avoid like Winnie the Pooh stuff for him because she's not a fan of Winnie the Pooh.
hmm
But like, she couldn't avoid Mickey Mouse. Like, Mickey himself literally just completely was that kid's shit for like 5 years.
He's the king. Of,
Yeah. Oh
of
yeah.
The Kingdom Hearts. He needs to be the king. of
Richard
everyone.
Rat. Well, it's good old Richard Rat. You can't avoid him.
Richard Rat. Oh my god.
You got to
Is-
bump fists with
Is
Richard
that a
Rat.
right? Like, is that thing a rat like Mickey Mouse? That fucking JoJo panel.
Is that thing a rat like Mickey Mouse?
Yeah. Let that
That's
one
actually
sink in.
that's woke because it almost sounds like criticism.
Yeah. Josuke,
Father, I
actual
crave-
anti-capitalist.
Father, I crave cheddar. You've seen that one, right?
Bring me the moon. Yeah, I have. Oh boy.
So yeah, the games, that one's coming out soon.
Yeah. And Resident Evil 2 is amazing, and I'm super happy, and I can't wait to play it.
So while you're sitting at home with your friggin' Xbox playing all these modern ass games that I can't play,
Yeah.
I've bought 2 remakes this week.
Yeah.
Were just released for Switch. The first of which is Tales of Vesperia,
Yay!
which is the deluxe edition that
Yeah.
has just come out. And I don't have too much experience with the Tales series. I've played Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah,
'cause I own it
everyone.
for
I think everyone played
I-
Tales of Symphonia.
I own it for GameCube, so I've played Tales of Symphonia, and I have played, beaten, and enjoyed thoroughly Tales of the Abyss, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But as for the rest of the Tales series, Tales of Phantasia for SNES, I've played it. I don't really know if I like it. It's ambitious and experimental for its time,
Mm-hmm.
because it has like that kind of like action RPG battle system that's plays like a side-scrolling platformer, and that's kind of cool. But like, the game itself I don't know. It's long. It's got one of those kind of typical of the '90s long-winded JRPG plots that I'm just kind of not super into. It's a very all right game, but I'm not huge into it.
Yeah.
Um, but Tales of the Abyss I thought was wonderful, and it has some of my favorite characters in gaming. I love that fucking game to death, and I played it religiously for like when I got it to when I beat it. Like I didn't play anything else. I love that fucking game, and Tales of Symphonia is just it's a classic. Like it's one of the very few RPGs released for the GameCube, and it's very good. You know, like I have a few RPGs for GameCube. I have Baten Kaitos. Or Baten Kaitos, I don't know how it's pronounced. And I also have Tales of Symphonia, and I've got Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I'm gonna probably buy Skies of Arcadia Legends at some point too, if I ever find it for like a reasonable price, but it's always like over $100. But there's a nice boxed copy I saw the last time I was at ANC Games in Toronto, so I may end up getting it.
Just steal it.
And then I have the Pokemon Coliseum. I don't have XD, but I might get that next time I go too.
Yeah, XD seems like it's gonna be an experience to play. I want to play it because like, it's one of those rare things that I only heard about like a year ago.
Yeah, Pokemon XD.
Yeah.
Weird game. Weird fucking game.
Yeah. Ambitious.
It is. I mean, it's a sequel to Coliseum, but it shifts a lot of the formula. And it makes it a lot closer to like a regular Pokemon game.
But also is the most far away from a regular Pokemon game that it's ever been.
Yeah, both of those games are such anomalies to me because what they really are is like Pokemon Stadium, but with a story mode.
Yeah.
But they're such like aesthetically strange, weird. You know what they're like? They're like the Mario Land games of Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Or no, actually no, that would be more like Pokemon Ranger. But there's something similar to that, you know, where it's like here's just this series that was for a particular console. There's only a few of them. You know, there's only a few of them that they're kind of like a sequel to Pokemon Stadium, but they have story modes, and the world they're in is like almost post-apocalyptic in how it looks.
Yeah.
And it's a very strange game. I have to say, Pokemon Coliseum has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. It's one of my favorite video game soundtracks. It's amazing. But yeah, it's a very, very strange, anomalous little micro series. So yeah, all of this is to say that yeah, Tales of Symphonia, I've played it, I enjoy it. It's kind of like a classic and considered by many to be a classic. I had no idea about Tales of Vesperia. I knew nothing of the game. I bought it because I like the Tales games that I've played.
Yeah.
What I didn't know getting into it is that this is one of the fan favorite games in the series. It's considered by many to be the series' best in terms of its narrative and characters.
Yeah, people have been hassling Bandai to remake it for years. Like,
I had no idea about that.
Oh, really?
But now that I've played the game and I'm starting to get into it, I kind of see why that might be. And maybe I'm shooting my gun off a little too early, kind of making assumptions about a game I've only played about 5 hours of so far. But Yuri, the main character, is kind of compelling in terms of a JRPG protagonist. Because he's the first one I can think of in a while that I've played whose entire shtick is that he's kind of anti-authority.
Yeah.
And not in like the edgy Final Fantasy VII way that those characters are, but in like the legitimately almost like Antifa way where he's like, rich people exploit the poor, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to see that the world outside of this little city that I've lived in, this poor quarter of this huge imperial city, is experiencing the same oppression that poor quarter I've been living in had been experiencing, and the only way to stop the oppressive forces that are ruining my community is to is to take direct action against the government. And I'm thinking, holy shit, this like a leftist JRPG?
Gamers rise up.
Literally, lo and behold, I have found that everybody kind of seems to have that reading of it. So I'm excited to see where the story goes. Right now, Like I said, I'm 5 hours in. I've not gotten too deep into the story. I haven't even left the first area of the game, really. Like, I'm still in the first continent that you're starting out on.
Yeah.
And I know there's a much bigger world to explore because Tales games always have huge, massive maps. But the world building has been solid so far. One of the things I like about the Tales games that Final Fantasy is quite poor at is making the world feel just like a completely weird, culturally distinct, almost very alien place
Mm-hmm.
with like a lot of fake science and all this stuff that like just Final Fantasy, maybe some of the later games like 10 did, but like I don't know, they seem a lot more densely written than the worlds of Final Fantasy. And it's two different flavors of RPG. This is like heavy on the world building. Final Fantasy has world building, but it's a lot more character driven.
Yeah.
This kind of seems equally driven by both the characters and the world, because the world experiences like real shifts in politics and power and a whole bunch of stuff like that. There's all this fake science that's completely kind of determined the course of history that the world is going through. Like in Tales of the Abyss, it's like the presence of like this elemental ring of stones around the planet has completely like changed the way magic and technology interacts and works.
Yeah.
And has completely changed the course of how that world functions politically. Similarly, Blastia in this game, which is kind of the thing that allows you to use magic, has done the same thing where like wars and empires have risen and fallen because of this resource. And I don't know, I found it very interesting. It's not just somebody being a tyrant and trying to collect some crystals. Like usually in Final Fantasy, it's look at these elemental crystals that somebody's going to harness their vague elemental power and that will be bad. Whereas this is very, very much about kind of like, oh shit, Blastia is this thing that the Empire has a monopoly on, and it's using it to kind of keep its footholds across the world. And it's they've basically conquered the entirety of the planet. And this is the empire that you as the main character have seen causing and conditioning an oppressive community for people to live in. So I know it's neat. I'm really enjoying it so far. So that's a weird, cool game. The other game that I bought was The World Ends With You Final Mix.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it on a podcast earlier last year or something, but I said I have The World Ends With You for DS. I have not played very much into it because I think it plays like shit on the DS. It's awful. It's so fucking. It's just too much for me. Maybe a certain kind of person can like work their head around.
I was actually going to ask you if I could borrow it to see if I could, because now I have a DS that isn't total garbage.
Yes, I will absolutely lend that to you. Not a problem. And I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't play. I watched Liam stream the Final Mix, and that kind of just sparked the interest of it. And since I don't really I could afford a Switch right now, but that would be it'd be risque.
It's a lot of money, and if you're living paycheck to paycheck, don't do that.
Oh, I'm not. I'm okay now, for once.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. But yeah, no, it would kind of be it's a big purchase to make.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those where you got to calculate a hit. And
it was also just the holidays. So everybody's doing a little lower on cash.
I think my cheap thing was the DS, really.
Yeah. That's I'm still considering doing that. I'm gonna have to see what yours is like, and if I like it, I'm gonna probably do it.
I think it's really good. It's so much lighter.
Yeah, I've heard.
And it's
big too.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Big, and
it's not shitty hefty.
No, it's bigger than the other one, and it's lighter, and it feels better in your hands.
How long did your data transfer take?
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's about how long it took me. I honestly think I might do that. God, I'm gonna own 3 3DSs if I do that. That's whack. But I want it because I have the original 3DS and I have the XL. Well, I might just have to do it honestly because I really want to continue playing some of my 3DS games, but The one that I just that 3DS that I bought, it's busted. Like it's just that I'm always afraid it's gonna fucking fall apart in my hands when I'm playing it.
Yeah, well, let's say mine was missing the not like fucking analog stick. It was just a little nub of plastic.
Oh Jesus!
And the volume didn't work, so I was like, okay.
Yikes! Yeah, I'm gonna probably invest in that maybe when my next paycheck comes around, and if it's significant enough, because I don't know what my new pay is yet, because I've started working longer hours, so I'm not quite sure how much I'm making, but when that comes in, I'll have to analyze it and see if it's a worthwhile purchase, because it might very well be. And I want to get Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey's remake, because that's one of my favorite games. So
they did a remake. Well,
yeah, and it's on
3DS.
It's on 3DS.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have to get that.
I thought it was a sequel. That's it. I got a SMT4 to play after I beat Bravely Default.
I have both of those SMT games that came out on 3DS, the SMT4 and SMT4 Apocalypse.
Yeah, Apocalypse looks really cool.
They're both amazing. I love those games. They're extremely difficult, and I love a nice hard RPG. And those are the totally old school dungeon crawlers and everything. Like, I love them. They're great games. But yeah, so yeah, that's all to say. I haven't played The World Ends With You Final Mix yet. I probably will play it sometime in the next week, and I'll talk about it next week, but I just want to say, hey, I got it, and I'm excited because the other one just didn't play in a way that I liked. So hopefully this does me some good. But I really do like the aesthetics of those games. They're beautiful. And I like the characters, and I know kind of a little bit about the story that I think I know just enough to pique my interest and without having felt spoiled.
Yeah.
So I'm enticed to play it. It's just like, God, I can't play that shitty 3DS or DS version. It's hard. It's hard to wrap my head around. But I'm going to have to try that out. I did play a few other games this week. I played a lot of handheld stuff. I've been just kind of getting my illegal gaming console computer apps up and running again, playing some ROMs. I played and beat Mario Land just because I was very stressed out this week, and I was on the bus for a little while, so my commute was long, and I had just about enough time to play and beat the entirety of Mario Land.
Jeez. That
was fun. And I played Mario Land 2 a little bit, and I've been playing a ROM hack of it that colorizes the game.
Oh shit, so nice.
So that's pretty fun, and it's beautiful. I don't know how much you know or are familiar with those games.
The Mario Lands, I know of their existence pretty much.
That's it.
That's it.
So I don't know if you know how notoriously weird they are.
Nope.
They are weird fucking games. And they're not just weird by the standards of other Mario games, but they're kind of like weird by the standards of Nintendo games. There's a lot of odd stuff that just kind of
feels out of place.
Yeah, they feel out of place, but not in a jarring or bad way, but in like it's kind of like when you eat something that you first look at and you're like, that looks weird, and you eat and you're like, it tastes weird but not bad. In fact, it tastes good. It's just a flavor that I can't really say that I've never tried.
Understand now. There's a shoot 'em up section.
So yeah, the Mario Land, the original game, it came out in I think '89. But yes, it's a side-scrolling platformer. It was the first Mario game for the Game Boy, and it was developed by, I think, Gunpei Yokoi himself directly developed it. So Miyamoto wasn't involved, and it was the first Mario game that Miyamoto wasn't involved in making. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird game. So it's not long. It's not exceedingly difficult either, although it's not necessarily easy, because the controls are kind of old and Mario doesn't move quite as well or as nicely as you'd want. Like, there's a lot of precision platforming in it. But yeah, so it's got 4 worlds. The worlds are all based on like ancient cultures. So the first kingdom is based on Egypt. The second kingdom is based on like Bermuda, like it's called the Muda Kingdom.
Okay.
The third kingdom is based on Easter Island. It's called the Eastern Kingdom, and it's got big Easter Island moai heads. And then The final one is based on China, and it's called the Chai Kingdom, and it's got like bamboo forest aesthetic, and it's got kind of like a musical track in it that uses the Chinese riff, like the da 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 da.
Okay, yeah.
It's in the soundtrack of that world, and the enemies in that world are like, those Chinese hopping vampires.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, like they're in that world and shit like that. Like the
Shit.
Easter Island Kingdom has like little Moai head enemies. The Muda Kingdom has little aliens that come down from like UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's a very weird game, and the main villain of the game is Tatanga, who's a big purple alien in a ship, and he kidnaps Princess Daisy, and you have to go rescue Daisy. And there are sections within the game, like you noted, that are shoot 'em up sections, and they play like a good side-scrolling shoot 'em up. There's an underwater one, and then there's the sky one where you're in a plane.
Yeah.
And you fight a couple of boss fights that way. Tatanga, the final boss, you fight in a plane. There's only about 3 stages per world, so they're not long. But but the stages themselves are kind of long, and they're hard. Some of them, like I said, precision platforming is required for a few of them, so they can be a little frustrating. And it's one of those games where you don't, unless you're playing with save states, which I do, you die and you just restart from the beginning.
Whew.
Yeah, so
Get
it's
good.
so yeah, but you can beat the whole thing in 2 hours if you're good enough at it. And which I did. Like I didn't have to use save states when I played, because I kind of know the game back and forth, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun one. The enemies are also a little weirder too, and some of the power-ups are different. Like, you don't get a fire flower in the game. You get a flower that lets you shoot a super ball that bounces off of like walls at parallel angles.
Jeez.
So like if you throw like a ball at a wall, it'll bounce off and hit an enemy behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So shit like that. It's very odd. It like ricochets, and so you don't have a fire flower, you have that. And some of the enemies are really different. Like you have Koopa Troopas, but their shells explode instead of just like being left there. Like you kill them and the enemy dies, but the shell stays, and it's like a bomb.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there are just like
weird.
It's very strange. There's some weird shit in that game. And then Super Mario Land 2, I should say, Deluxe, the one that I'm playing, the ROM hack Super Mario Land 2 DX, is weird because it's the game that Wario debuted in. He's the main villain of the game. And the story is Mario goes back home after the end of Mario Land, and his island that he lives on has been taken over by Wario. Wario stole his house. And he's locked it up. So the only way to get into the castle is to go all around the island to the different places, these different zones. They call them zones like it's a Sonic game. And collect the golden coin at the end of each of these worlds. And the coins, all 6 of them, as the title suggests, you put them into the castle, and you open it up, you go, and there's kind of a hard castle level, and you fight Wario. And he's like a 3-stage boss fight.
Jeez.
But it is a really fun game. Aesthetically, once again, just very odd. Some of the worlds are really not Mario worlds in a lot of ways. Like there's a world called Pumpkin Zone, and it's all horror themed and spooky themed.
Do.
Exactly. There's like a world that's a ghost. There's like a level that's a ghost house, a level that's like a graveyard. There are enemies that are literally just walking Jason masks with machetes stuck in their heads.
Spooky.
And they're actually in Japan called Jason. It's not a joke. And like the boss of the world is like a witch on a broomstick. Like that's what it's like. But there's like multiple. The world is a lot more complex. The graphics are a lot more sophisticated than the first games, and the sprites are pretty big. And they look basically like they're almost directly the Mario World sprites, but adapted for 8-bit.
Okay, yeah, that makes
so
sense.
they're really, really nice looking, and they're huge. So the game has big sprites, kind of like Metroid 2: The Return of Samus, where like the game feels like it takes up a lot of the screen. But unlike that game, which is like a weird, slow-paced slog of a game that's really not that fun to play, this one is genuinely just like a joyfully fun Mario game with a lot of weird ideas. There's an entire world that takes place inside of a giant house, and you're like a little tiny Mario in a big house, so everything is these objects scaled up to huge proportions. and you're fighting like little bugs, like roaches and ants and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another world that's an entirely like a mechanical Mario, and
Metal Mario.
it's like a big statue of Mario that's all clockwork, and you go in and it's all gears and shit. It's really fun.
That's
There's
fucking cool.
there's a world where you go to space. You're in space. It's called Space Zone. And the gravity is different, so you jump higher and further. It's very much like when you go to the moon at the end of Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange and very different for a Mario game, but I enjoy it. But yeah, that's just kind of what I played this week. It's a lot of some old weird Mario games, and I played Tales of Vesperia, both of which I really enjoyed my time with. Now, there's not a lot of news, and we can pretty much burn through it. But,
yeah. We are. Let's see. What do we want to
we're
say?
about 40 minutes in, so we can like go for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess let's start with the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. Gerard Way's love child.
So yeah, this is a Netflix series that's coming out based on Gerard Way, the singer from My Chemical Romance, and now a pretty famed comic book writer who I'm pretty sure I've spoken about a few times because of the Young Animal comics and Doom Patrol. I know I went on a whole thing about Doom Patrol a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, before Gerard Way worked for DC Comics, he did some work with Dark Horse, and he still is to this day. But the first series that he wrote was called Umbrella Academy, and it's basically Gerard Way's take on Grant Morrison's version of the Doom Patrol from the 80s, the really weird kind of psychedelic and dark, interesting, kind of heady stuff.
Yeah.
But the twist is that it's also kind of filtered through Gerard Way's aesthetic sensibilities. So, like, it's a little gothy, and it's got kind of this cool, haunted, occasionally even Burton-esque at times art style.
I was just about to say Burton.
Yeah, kind of like a Burton-esque art style and kind of ideas. It's got some Del Toro in there too, with some of the monsters and enemies that they fight, and some of the ideas. But yeah, it's neat. The story is about a group of children who are all born on the same day to people who weren't previously pregnant, and all of these and this is all across the world. All of these babies are adopted by this kind of eccentric genius millionaire named Professor Hargraves. And Hargraves, like, you know, he raises them and trains them to be superheroes. He's kind of like the Chief in Doom Patrol, where he takes in all these weird misfit kids and he takes care of them, and he you know, trains them to be heroes. But also kind of like the Chief in Doom Patrol, his motivations are not quite as morally great.
Yeah.
And he spent so much time training the kids to be heroes that he never spent enough time being their dad. So the story kind of kicks off. Professor Hargreaves has passed away. And his kids, who, you know, ever since they were kids have been raised together, but, you know, they're not biological siblings, or kind of all get back together at the mansion that they were raised at. And a lot of them are all kind of now doing their own superhero thing. They kind of go back and they bury their father, and they start kind of, you know, getting to know reminiscing and getting to know each other again. All the while, their sibling Vanya, who was the one student out of all of them that didn't actually have any powers, or so they thought, she was kind of always left behind, and she felt left behind, is being courted by this crazy kind of evil orchestra master. She's a talented violin player, and she's kind of being groomed by this creepy orchestra master to become like a supervillain, and to use her talent as a violin player to play this piece of music that's about to destroy the world. Jeez. And so it's crazy. So it's a bunch of these weird people with like off and strange powers being forced to kind of reunite and work together as a family, and kind of revisit their past trauma and maybe bad blood between them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really good comic. There's two volumes of it. The first one is called Apocalypse Suite, which is, I believe, the first season of the show seems to be adapting. And the second volume is called Dallas, and it's a time travel story involving the member of the team called the Boy, who is basically his power is he can leap forward and backwards through time.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was a kid, he traveled too forward in time and didn't find out how to get back. So when he goes to the future, he realizes, oh shit, the apocalypse has occurred. I need to go back and warn my siblings. But when he goes back, it's been years since he's left.
I think they're tying in the first two, because in the trailer,
I think they're going to kind of cross over the both of them. Because he's in the first volume, but he's not, I guess, like the central character, but he is of the second volume.
Okay, yeah.
So
well, yeah, in the trailer they do go, I went to the future, it's all fucked up.
Yeah, so that's from the first volume of the comic. And then the second volume is a time travel story where they go back in time even further to either stop or cause the Kennedy assassination, something like that. But it's really, really good stuff. Like, it's pulpy and it's really fun. The artwork is beautiful. The characters are interesting, and they're just great comic books. Like, they're very, very in love with the medium, and they pay a lot of tribute to like Doom Patrol and X-Men and a bunch of those kind of fun team books. But they also put a bit of a Gerard Way spin on them, and I really enjoy those comics. Even in CEGEP, I even did an entire presentation on them for a class that I was taking on graphic novel, because I was just so in love with that series, and I still am. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite comic series of all time. Yeah, it's totally just, there's nothing like it. So I love that series a lot. So yeah, they're getting a Netflix show. The trailer came out. It looks good. It has a theme song or a song in it being sung by Gerard Way.
As it should.
As it should. And I'm like, of course it had to. They couldn't make a show / movie or adaptation of this without Gerard himself doing shit for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really, really cool. And I'm just kind of hyped to see where it goes. I'm hyped to see so many more people get into it, too.
Yeah, because I think that's the best way to get your comic book, especially nowadays, to get comic books popularized.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't read comics.
Unfortunately, yeah. And comics are very popular with, like, particular demographics and age groups.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't read... It's not that people don't read comics, but people don't read a lot of different comics.
Yeah.
People read a lot of the same comic.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff that's like this that maybe came out, about a decade ago now, I think, at least with the first one, they're, people aren't familiar with them because they haven't been in the public consciousness for a while. And they definitely haven't been popular since superheroes really started to kind of get huge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where they take it, and I'm excited to see so many more people get to experience these characters in this story. Hopefully they do it justice, but it seems like they are so far.
I'm excited to see it, and I feel like this is actually going to be one I can keep up with, because I'm still behind on Titans.
Yeah, I know, Titans be that way.
Yeah, but this one will be easier to start, because
at least it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be accessible. Speaking of the accessibility of Netflix, I think it was about a couple of hours before Resident Evil 2 was announced. Before Resident Evil 2 came out on Friday. Or Thursday at midnight, whatever. They announced that they were going to make a Resident Evil Netflix show. According to Deadline, which I assume is the people in charge of the story and stuff, it's not going to be following the story of the video games, really. It's going to be more of an expansion of the universe outside of the main characters we know. So I'm assuming it'll follow like Umbrella Corps or like other people that are in the games maybe, but like briefly.
I'd like a series about Billy.
Yeah. I wouldn't go very far. Whap, whap, whap.
But I'd like to see Barry show up at some point, though. That would be
yeah,
fun.
that'd be fun.
I honestly would have loved to see a Resident Evil series about what stars were up to before they got caught up in the Umbrella Crisis.
Yeah, like, why did you have these special agents? But it was pretty much to have the fucking Umbrella Crisis, honestly.
Yeah, no, why does this task force exist otherwise? Like, make something to justify.
Yeah, and I guess it's their SWAT team, kind of, but meh. Anyway.
I mean, yeah, but even still.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very weird.
But Resident Evil is weird.
Yeah, Resident Evil is
Alex brought up a couple of things in the stream where he was like, okay, she's a bit now. Is she infected? And I was like, no? Because a video game? Like, canonically, I guess you're not supposed to get bit ever?
Yeah. But
I
that's
mean,
weird.
Yeah, it's... I was thinking, like, maybe canonically it would make sense for it to be like, you can get infected, but you only turn into a zombie after you die.
Yeah, that would
But that's very Walking Dead, and I don't think that's what the actual canon explanation is. And I've been too lazy to look it up, so...
I'm pretty sure it's less distinct.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably just, oh, that's video game. She didn't get bit.
The canon is very shaky and flexible in Resi.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it just didn't fucking make sense.
Yeah. The thing that's unclear about the TV show, though, is if it's going to be live action or animated yet. We know very little outside of the fact that it exists.
Have you watched any of the animated Resident Evil by any chance?
The 3D ones? The
Yeah.
CG ones, I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
They're okay.
They're funny.
They're okay.
They're not as stupidly funny as the Paul W.S. Anderson movies.
Yeah. They're better than that,
but they're pretty funny.
They're pretty, yeah, they go places, they do things.
In the latest one that came out, there's a scene in which a wedding is ruined by the dropping of a fucking bomb directly, like an atomic bomb directly on the wedding. Yeah. Directly on the wedding? Are you
gotta have fun with
me?
it, dude. If you're making a weird zombie apocalypse thing.
Yeah, you might as well just like fucking
cause
whatever, bitch.
The Walking Dead kept it serious for a long time, and look what happened there.
Yeah, it's
People
true.
Still watching The Walking Dead? No.
No, well, if they are, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Everybody dressing up like fucking Negan. Was there more?
76 PvP. Just because I want to keep this, I want to volley this up in the air again, just until we have more.
We need like a bingo card that says mentioned Fallout 76.
Yeah, we got to make sure every podcast. But yeah, they've announced in a blog post, they've announced upcoming new player versus player mode, which will not have any bugs or not go terribly. What's my favorite sentence in this fucking... There's a sentence in this article that made me go, oof, it was a rough one.
Okay.
What is it? Gotta find it, because it was really funny. It made me laugh. I think I put it in the notes, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah. So you've got survival mode, which will be player versus player, and then you've got, I guess, classic, I think they call it, or like normal, whatever. Anyway,
survival mode.
Yeah, and in the normal mode, they have a thing where you initiate a duel by shooting a player, and if the player shoots you back, then it becomes PvP. But survival mode, quote unquote, won't be based on the current consent system. Which is the system of the duel, I guess. Which I think could have just been duel system.
Yeah.
Because that sentence made me go, ooh.
That's bad.
Those words.
Yeah, choice of the words consent system.
Yeah.
Not wise. Not wise.
Anyway, yeah, this is probably gonna shit the bed real hard. I can't wait
to
see
if
it's
gonna be
people's fucking entire accounts. Because that was a thing.
It goes into your credit card.
It steals all your money and deletes your account.
It deletes your credit card account.
Jesus.
It totally could happen though. Oh, it's such a fucking travesty. It's ridiculous. Speaking of maybe a travesty, maybe not. I guess for like the final little bit of news here, and this is pretty big when this hit on Friday. Nintendo released it's like a 4-minute little development update video about Metroid Prime 4 on their YouTube channel the other day and on all social media, stating that development on the game at Nintendo in-house
Hit a wall, essentially.
has hit a creative wall, and in order to mitigate this and to produce a game that they think is a worthy successor to the other three in the trilogy, have adjusted accordingly. Similar words. Adjusted accordingly to what made the original trilogy so great in the first place, and allocated development of the game to Retro Studios. I don't know why Retro weren't involved with this in the first place, because that seems like a no-brainer to me. But maybe they thought in-house development would be something that they wanted to try for the series.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Whatever the case, clearly it hasn't worked. And Nintendo very, very rarely outright restart development on a title. That doesn't happen often. And they even more rarely are this transparent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's good that they are this transparent and that they are just killing it, because I think Nintendo is pretty consistent with delivering. Jeez, man, we're both a mess.
Yeah.
With delivering like pretty consistent quality games, you know?
For the most part, I can't think of a Nintendo game of the past few years besides that Star Fox one for Switch, or for Wii U, sorry, that has really garnered anything but praise.
Mm-hmm. And that one was just because they were forcing the fucking touchpad way too hard.
Exactly, which kind of ruined the gameplay of the game. But if it wasn't for that, it would have been a perfectly fine, if not even above average shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pity that happened. But yeah, like Nintendo have been making fairly consistently good content the past couple years. So I guess in order to ensure that fans like the title, they've decided that they can't do it as much justice as Retro could. And you know what? It's gonna be all the better for it. Not only are they recognizing that they were producing what was probably going to be an inferior product, but they are actually making an effort to give it to somebody who they think and know for a fact can do it justice. So that's not something you get from Nintendo a lot. I mean, they're known for occasionally. It happens. I mean, Twilight Princess is notorious for how long it took to cook before it finally came out.
Yeah.
But that game is, for the most part, from at least what I understand, very well regarded. And all the efforts that were put into kind of finishing up development on that title went into making a really impressive game. Especially for the time. Maybe not so much now. It's not the most well-loved Zelda game, but it has its fans. And I think it's, they never put a title or set a title back in development unless they really want to do something with it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not just dicking around. But I feel like Metroid is one of those franchises that at this point is probably better in the hands of other studios than Nintendo themselves, like directly. And I think that's just maybe just because the kinds of games that they are, they're Western properties, you know? Like even
Metroid's super Western, which is why I think Other M kind of slipped under the quality.
Yeah, Other M plays like a character action game, and it's really weird. It's not a terrible game, but there are many elements of the game that are terrible, and one of the worst elements is Samus herself, and then the story.
Yeah,
which it's a very story-heavy game.
The baby.
There's a lot of talk of the baby and Adam.
The baby.
And Samus is like totally. She's such a wet blanket in that game. She sucks. So I'm really, really happy that, they're handing it over. Even that last Metroid game, the one that was a remake of Metroid 2 on the 3DS, which I really like. It's one of my favorite games for the 3DS. It's amazing. Was developed by a studio in Spain. And they did, I think, a lot better of a job than Nintendo could have at remaking that title. So, honestly, like, maybe just leave it in the hands of other studios at this point. Unless you're making a 2D game, in which case, Nintendo made some great 2D Metroid games, but the 3D stuff, for sure, leave that shit to Retro Studios.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They've had this shit in the bag for like almost 2 decades at this point. Prime 1, 2, and 3 are considered by many people to be like the best games in the series by a long shot. And people love those games. So just, keep them where the people working on it will produce something of quality. But yeah, so the development cycle's been halted. They're restarting, but it's going to be better.
Yeah, I think it's for the best, honestly. I don't see anything bad coming from this, besides the fact that it is actually delayed.
I really want
part.
to know what they thought they were doing so wrong. Just out of morbid curiosity, Because I'm like,
what made you go, ugh?
Nintendo doesn't admit defeat like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nintendo have kind of shown themselves to be kind of not clueless about properties that are big in the West, but maybe just not as adaptable to making games that are styled for the Western market. So, first-person action-adventure shooters like Metroid Prime should be given to studios that make good first-person action-adventure shooters. And Nintendo markedly doesn't really do that sort of thing. They're not Capcom. They're not even Konami. Like, the kind of games that Nintendo is known for making now are very different from the sort of stuff that Metroid is. So, hopefully that turns out well, but I think it will. I do have something to plug before we go.
Do it.
So I made a playlist on our YouTube channel, and I've been kind of curating stuff in it, but it's called Our Favorite Gaming Videos. And it's just kind of like every time I watch a lot of video game YouTube, obviously, especially a lot of stuff that's kind of in a video essay format, and stuff that about gaming history, whatever. And I've really been interested in kind of sharing that stuff with people, but we never really have a lot of time on the podcast, just kind of based on the way that we are and how we talk, to discuss stuff that I see in that. So just as a way of getting that shit out there, I started curating a playlist on our YouTube channel that people can watch. It's just got a bunch of really great gaming related YouTube videos on it. Of course, you feel free to add to it as well.
Yep.
But I've got stuff in there from Gaming Historian, 8-Bit Music Theory. I think I have some Daniel Ibbotson in there. If not, I should put some because he makes good stuff. I've got Stop Skeletons from Fighting. Just a whole. I got Matt is in there. Wooly is in there. I've got a couple of content creators and interesting people. I got a very good 40-minute long H. Barmer Guy video that's essentially a documentary on the failed console that was being produced by the guy who developed Dragon's Lair. That is really interesting, and one of H. Barmer Guy's best gaming-related videos.
I'm gonna have to watch that. That sounds fucking...
It's fantastic. It's such a good documentary. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of interesting stuff in there. I urge everybody to take a look, log onto your YouTube, and find that playlist on our page. It's great. It's got a whole bunch of really good content in there, and yeah, like I said, Ben, add some stuff to it if you watch something during the week that you're like, oh shit, that was great.
Yeah, super well. I just got to remember to switch accounts on my YouTube.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I got to do the same thing. But yeah, it's fantastic. I'm excited to kind of put a whole bunch of stuff in there and get people into watching, some good gaming analysis videos. I got some Mark Brown in there too, Game Maker's Toolkit, and I think I have a no-clip documentary on Bethesda in there too that is really interesting.
Oh god.
So a whole bunch of stuff.
Golden Age.
But just totally fun playlist. I hope people enjoy watching it. And that's all I have to plug. Also, just hey everybody, remember the mega upload folder is always there. It's got some good MP3s on it. You can listen to the entire podcast in MP3 form.
Yeah, it sounds way better.
The MP3s are they're much higher quality than the Twitch streams because it's just our raw audio files.
Our raw,
So,
long, thick audio files.
they're raw, they're long,
They're thick.
but they sound really good. So especially the last 2 episodes. Now that we have really nice sounding equipment.
Yeah.
So
And the
by all means,
RSS
check it out.
feed. The RSS feed is coming at some point. I'm still just kind of fishing around.
That's all right.
To
Don't
try
worry
to
about
figure
that.
it out, but
Until the RSS feed comes,
we
there
got
are
Mega
ways.
upload.
Yeah, just look on Mega. You've got some stuff. It's everything. I post when it goes up, so just check it out.
Subscribe to us on YouTube if you'd like.
And follow us on Twitch
on
if
the
you already
Facebook.
haven't.
On the Facebooks too, you can like our page. You can follow us
Yeah.
on Twitter. We post pretty much just retweet things.
Yeah,
think.
and we occasionally post some clever shit.
Yeah, this is
So there'll be stuff on there. I'm gonna try and see if I can test out my camera and make 1 or 2 little Let's Plays to stick on the channel.
yeah.
Just in the intermediary.
I was actually gonna talk to you about that soon.
Yeah, I'm trying it out.
Plans.
Exactly, but I like to play handheld games on my computer because I have a really nice Game Boy emulator.
Mm-hmm.
So I might maybe I'll play some Mario Land and I'll stick it on there. Maybe I'll play like Mario Brothers, the remake for the Game Boy Advance, the one that came on all those Mario ports. I'm gonna play a couple rounds of that because I really love that game. So I'm gonna try and get a little bit more content up on there. But also school is a thing and time is a thing. So maybe they might just be about 20 minutes or so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna have to figure out how exactly to do that with my new camera setup. But it should be good. I think I kind of have an idea of what I might need to do. So hopefully I get 1 or 2 little things up on there by the end of the next couple of weeks, maybe by the end of February. But that'll be good.
Do it.
And I think that's about it.
I'm gonna plug tomorrow at 8 or 8:30. Not sure yet. Depends on how work goes
Time.
and time, I guess. But say 8:30 at the latest. I will start streaming Resident Evil 2 for about 2 hours because it is a Monday and I do need to sleep. But Friday streams are pretty much a guaranteed 8:30 till my body starts shutting down.
Yeah.
So you can look
It
forward to
happens.
that tomorrow, a part 2 of the stream. I've made 2 separate save files now, so that I can have my stream save file, which will be less embarrassing now because I will know where things are and shit.
That'll be a good idea. And of course, just to keep an eye out for the MP3 version. It'll come pretty soon. And everybody take it easy in the meantime. Have a good week.
And we will see you next week.
Yes, very much. And if you have any questions, hey, feel free to drop by when we stream or drop them in the comment section or anything like that, and we'll try to answer them.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
Make sure they're good.
Yeah. No, make shitty questions only.
Have you ever eaten full stick of butter?
Exactly. That's the kind of shit that I want to ask.
Okay, bye guys.
I'm starting to get hiccups. All right, yeah, everybody have a good evening. Have a good week. Play some games and transverts of human rights.
Stay saucy.